Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we'll have the latest from the live radar with the UK view. Look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, as we are going to continue to see pretty unsettled conditions quite widely. And then as we head into next week, things could start to turn cooler, as the next couple of days actually does look incredibly mild. Temperatures could get up into the mid-teens, but as I said, next week we could be looking at high single digits or even mid-single digits in places again. That pattern we are seeing in the longer range of cooler unsettled conditions continues from the GFS, GM, ECMWF and the ensembles. We're not looking at anything ridiculously cold, just generally average to below average. There is the chance we do see something very cold, but as we've highlighted over the past few days, it doesn't look like it's a high chance, maybe 10 or 20% chance something a bit more notable comes along. Most likely is unsettled, cool, northerly blast perhaps, and cooler air masses moving in at times. But as I said, the recurring theme is continued unsettled conditions. No, it doesn't mean it's going to rain every day, but most areas are going to see quite a bit more rain over the coming week and probably for the rest of March. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in description. Now if you start on the live radar, you can see today we have seen a reduction in the precipitation compared to prior days, but we've still seen a lingering weather front across parts of North Wales into northern England, stretching up towards southern Scotland. To the south of this, it's milder air, as this is a cold front that's slowly edging southwards and eastwards. But to the north of this, it is cooler with more average or maybe even slightly below average temperatures. And this precipitation band is pretty stationary today, so it's been on and off rain, and some of it, as you can see, is pretty heavy, as it will slowly move eastwards and slowly southwards over the coming hours. Now, recording this around 6:30, and you can see that marked difference down towards the east and the south, or generally under that precipitation band and southwards. It is mild temperatures in the double digits comfortably, even low teens in places. To the north, it's not cold, but it is definitely cooler with more blues mixing in. Now, if you look at the latest UKV, you can see that precipitation slowly edging eastwards through the rest of this evening. It actually does start to push northwards again as a more organised low starts to come in. As that pushes through, continues to give more heavier precipitation quite widely for northern areas, especially into Scotland and Northern Ireland through tomorrow, and more patchy areas of precipitation further southwards. As we head then into Friday, still seeing plenty of rainfall moving in, but it does become more showery and more on and off. And then as we head into Friday, again, another day of rain in many areas, but again, it is more on and off as we do see the main weather front clearing into the North Sea. As we progress towards Saturday, initially dry, but you see by the afternoon we start to see more heavy precipitation moving in from the west, especially further northwards, and then it's going to give some heavy rain for all overnight into Sunday. And then finally, as we head into Sunday morning, it does turn drier, especially through the morning hours into the afternoon, but could see a few showers popping up. And then as we head into Monday, could see more precipitation starting to move in. Initially, it does look like a weakening weather front, and by the evening, it looks like some thicker cloud, perhaps some heavier rain moving in off the Atlantic, perhaps a slightly drier period there. If you look at the max temperatures, you can see this afternoon to the south of that weather front 13-14 degrees, to the north mid to high single digits. As we head into Thursday, look at that, temperatures could be 15 or 16 degrees. Tomorrow to the south of the weather front, to the north of it, again mid single digits at best. The biggest temperature contrast could be across parts of the Republic of Ireland, 7 or 8 degrees towards the northwest, 14 degrees towards the southeast. So yeah, quite a strong temperature contrast there. As we head into Friday, we continue to see milder conditions again in that southeast corner, but eventually that precipitation will push through, bringing chillier conditions. And you can see as we head into Saturday, could actually be a frost further northwards. Saturday afternoon is still going to get towards 13-14 degrees, still got quite a bit of mild air lingering. And then slowly into Sunday, still again a pretty mild day again. 16 or 17 degrees could be seen in London. I've seen some screenshots of some of the weather apps showing maybe even 20 degrees. That is very unlikely. When you're looking at these UKV temperatures, you could maybe add a degree or two So sort of the widespread temperature. So yeah, 16, 17 or 18 degrees is plausible. But considering the majority of areas here, 13 to 15, I don't think 20 degrees has any possibility at all, let alone it will mostly be accompanied by cloud and rain, which will prohibit those temperatures. So potentially if we had multiple sunshine, higher pressure, we could have seen 20 degrees in this sort of scenario. But at this stage, I'm thinking a muggy mid to high teens. And then finally into Monday, again, another relatively mild day. Not quite as mild as the prior days, but again, 13 to 15 degrees. Now, if you look at the latest GFS, you'll be able to see why it is going to be so mild over the next few days, but then progressively turn colder into next week. You can see it's westerly winds, southwesterly winds to be specific, and that is bringing mild rain from the mid-Atlantic. But you can see eventually in the longer range, we do start to see that wind veer to more westerly and maybe see some northerly incursions, which allows fresh air to come in off the Atlantic. And you can see again, it's not amazingly cold at this stage, but it's fresher with quite a lot of cold air feeding into these systems, which of course that cold air runs out into the North Atlantic and sort of dissipates very quickly, but allows chillier conditions over the top of us. I must be honest, the GFS runner here isn't actually all too cold, but it is on the milder end of the ensemble members. If you do look at the latest GM, very similar picture over the coming days. Southwesterly wind continue pushing in, and then again, as we head towards that day 7 period and onwards, that wind veers more west to northwesterly again with northerly incursions. You can see here, colder air is drifting in. Again, nothing crazy in terms of colder conditions, but definitely below average. And you can see the temperature deviation there around 4 to 6 degrees below average. So chilly, nothing amazing at this stage. Compared to the ECMWF, once again, southwesterly winds continuing to push in, and then as we head towards day 10, high pressure actually trying to extend over the top of us. Now, this is the only run I've seen recently where it could go drier and it could go warmer as well. So a little bit of an anomalous run here from the ECMWF. It is the midnight run from last night. If we put on the midday run, which hasn't fully come out, here you can see at 168 hours, high pressure is extending in, but unlikely to really build. So maybe just an anomalous run from the ECMWF earlier, but again, giving a glimmer of hope that we could see something drier in the longer range. But at the moment, I definitely would favour unsettled conditions by far. If you look at the ensembles just to finish, again, you can see above average at the moment, or hovering around average to above average, and longer term, especially that final 10 days or so of March, more average to below average. Precipitation is still fairly moderate, again nothing ridiculous, but still fairly high, and on top of all the rainfall we've seen, not only the past couple of weeks, but the past couple of months, will mean that flooding is a continued risk. Interestingly, we haven't actually seen many weather warnings recently because individual weather fronts and areas of precipitation haven't been overly heavy or overly widespread, but still have caused localized issues because of the amount of water that has fallen so far this winter. And it looks like this will continue into early spring. If you do put on those 2 meter temperatures, you can see very mild over the coming days. GFS doesn't quite actually capture how mild it'll get. 16, 17, 18 degrees is possible, and then in the longer term, you can see trending more towards only sort of 9 or 10 degrees. And then finally, if we compare to the ECMWF again, we'll have to look at the midnight run, as the midday run hasn't fully come out. Again, a similar picture, a bit more moderated, more hovering around average, but still favouring above average in the next 7 days, and then the 7 days after that, more average to below average, with some colder runs appearing. But I must say, I wouldn't say anything too cold at this stage, and precipitation looks fairly similar to the GFS, maybe a bit more glimmer of hope of some dry conditions in the longer term, a few more dry runs appearing, but at the moment, plenty of rainfall to come. Very mild conditions over the coming days before turning cooler as we head into the next week and perhaps generally the second half of March. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you have enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.